Ethan Miles stared at the photograph in his hand, his heart heavy with grief. It had been 3 weeks since his wife, Emily, was found dead in their home. The police ruled it as an accident, a fall that resulted in a fatal head injury. But something about it didn't sit right with Ethan. Emily was careful, meticulous even. She wouldn't have just slipped and fallen in their spacious, well-lit living room. The funeral had been a somber affair. Friends and family came to pay their respects, but Ethan could barely focus on their condolences. His mind kept replaying the day he found her. He had been at work late that evening, rushing home after Emily didn't respond to his calls. When he walked in and saw her lifeless body on the floor, everything inside him shattered. After the funeral, Ethan decided to go through her belongings. Not to pry, but to hold on to any piece of her he could find. That's when he stumbled upon something strange. A second phone, hidden in the bottom of her closet. It wasn't the phone she used every day. This one was sleek, black, and locked with a passcode Ethan didn't know. The discovery unsettled him. Why would Emily need a second phone? And why had she kept it hidden? He tried not to jump to conclusions, but a seed of doubt had been planted. He took the phone to a repair shop the next day, explaining that he had forgotten the passcode. After a few hours, the technician handed it back to him, unlocked. As Ethan scrolled through the messages, his hands trembled. The texts were from a contact saved as L. They were intimate, flirtatious, and heartbreaking. L, I can't wait to see you again. Are you sure he won't find out? Emily, he's busy at work. He doesn't notice anything anymore. Ethan felt his chest tighten. His wife had been cheating on him. The woman he thought he knew, the love of his life, had been lying to him. But the betrayal wasn't the worst part. The name L tugged at a dark corner of his mind. Could it be Liam Hayes, his best friend and business partner? The thought made him sick. He decided to confront Liam, but he needed more proof first. Ethan scoured the phone for clues, piecing together the puzzle. The more he uncovered, the clearer it became that Emily's death wasn't an accident. It was deliberate. His instincts told him to go to the police, but Ethan knew he had to tread carefully. If Liam was involved, it would mean a betrayal so deep that it would shake the foundation of his entire life. Ethan vowed to get to the truth, no matter how painful it would be. Ethan couldn't sleep that night. The messages he found on Emily's secret phone replayed in his mind, haunting him. He stared at the ceiling, wondering how long his wife had been hiding this affair and why she would betray him in such a cruel way. The fact that the name L could be Liam twisted the knife further. Liam had been his closest friend for over a decade, a man he trusted with his business and his life. By morning, Ethan knew he had to act. He started by calling the private investigator he had used years ago when a business partner tried to steal from their company. The man, Ryan, was efficient and discreet. Ethan explained the situation, handing over Emily's second phone and asking Ryan to focus on identifying the. In the meantime, Ethan decided to observe Liam. They had a business meeting scheduled that afternoon at their company, a small but profitable tech firm. When Ethan walked into the conference room, Liam greeted him with his usual easy smile. "Morning, Ethan. How are you holding up?" Liam asked, his tone dripping with concern. Ethan forced a tight smile. "I'm managing. Thanks for checking in." Liam's behavior was unchanged. Friendly, supportive, and professional. It made Ethan second-guess his suspicions. Could he be wrong about Liam? Or was Liam just a skilled liar? As the meeting progressed, Ethan couldn't focus. He kept studying Liam's face, looking for any cracks in his facade. But Liam was smooth, effortlessly navigating the discussion and even joking with their colleagues. After the meeting, Liam approached Ethan privately. "Hey, let's grab a drink tonight. You've been through a lot, and I think you need to unwind." The invitation caught Ethan off guard. Was Liam trying to cover his tracks? Or was this just a genuine gesture from a concerned friend? Ethan hesitated but then agreed. That evening at the Oak Tavern, Liam ordered their usual drinks. Ethan watched him closely as they talked about work and life. Liam seemed relaxed, but Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. "So," Liam said, swirling his glass, "how's it been at home?" Must be hard with Emily gone. Ethan felt a lump in his throat. Yeah, strange. I keep thinking about her, about the little things she did. And now I just have questions. Liam's expression didn't change. Questions? About what? Ethan shrugged, keeping his tone casual. You know, like what she was doing that day. The police said it was an accident. But I don't know. It doesn't add up. For the briefest moment, Ethan thought he saw a flicker of unease in Liam's eyes. It was so quick he almost missed it. Maybe you're overthinking it, Liam said, his voice steady. Grief does that to people. It makes you see things that aren't there. Ethan nodded, pretending to agree. But inside, his doubts solidified. Liam was hiding something, he was sure of it now. Later that night, Ryan called with an update. He had traced the number connected to Emily's secret phone. It belonged to Liam Hayes. Hearing his best friend's name spoken aloud felt like a punch to the gut. Ethan hung up, his mind racing. The affair was real. Liam had been lying to him just as Emily had. But there was one question Ethan couldn't shake. Was Liam connected to Emily's death? The pieces of the puzzle were starting to fit together. But the picture they formed was more horrifying than Ethan could have imagined. Ethan woke up the next morning with a renewed sense of purpose. Now that he knew Liam was the mysterious L, he was determined to uncover the full truth. He couldn't let anger cloud his judgment. He needed a clear head to figure out what really happened to Emily. His first step was to meet with Ryan again. The investigator had been thorough, pulling together not just phone records but also surveillance footage from areas near Ethan's home and Emily's favorite hangouts. Ryan slid a USB drive across the table during their meeting at a quiet cafe. "This is everything I found," Ryan said. "It's not just phone calls and texts. I found footage of Liam and Emily together at a few spots. They weren't exactly discreet." Ethan plugged the drive into his laptop as soon as he got home. The videos confirmed his worst fears. Liam and Emily were seen at hotels, restaurants, and even parks. Places where Ethan had once spent happy moments with Emily. Watching them laugh and hold hands felt like a knife twisting deeper into his chest. One particular video stood out. It was dated just 2 days before Emily's death. She and Liam were arguing in the parking lot of a hotel. The footage had no sound, but their body language was telling. Emily was animated, pointing her finger at Liam and waving her phone in his face. Liam, on the other hand, seemed desperate, grabbing her arm and trying to calm her down. Ethan paused the video, his mind racing. What could they have been arguing about? Was it connected to Emily's death? The next day, Ethan decided to confront Liam. He invited him over under the pretense of needing support. When Liam arrived, Ethan played the role of a grieving friend, pouring them both a drink and steering the conversation toward Emily. "You know," Ethan began, swirling his glass, "I found something strange the other day. Emily had a second phone. I didn't know about it until after she died." Liam stiffened slightly, but his expression remained neutral. "A second phone? Why would she have that?" "I don't know," Ethan replied, keeping his tone casual. "But I found some messages on it. Messages from someone she was close to." Liam looked down at his drink. "Ethan, I know this is hard, but maybe you shouldn't dig too deep. Sometimes it's better not to know." Ethan's grip tightened on his glass. "You think so?" "I don't. I think the truth matters, no matter how ugly it is." Liam's face hardened for a split second before he forced a smile. "You're right. I just want you to find peace." As the evening wore on, Liam grew increasingly uncomfortable under Ethan's subtle probing. By the time he left, Ethan was certain of two things. Liam was guilty of more than just the affair, and he was hiding something about Emily's death. Later that night, Ethan reviewed the footage again, focusing on the parking lot argument. He noticed something he hadn't seen before. A flash of fear on Emily's face as Liam grabbed her arm. It was subtle, but it was there. Ethan called Ryan. "I need you to dig deeper into Liam. Bank records, business dealings, everything. There's more to this, and I need to know what." Ryan agreed, promising to get back to him soon. Ethan sat in his dimly lit living room, staring at a photo of Emily on the mantel. The woman he thought he knew had secrets. Secrets that had cost her life. But the more he uncovered, the more he realized Liam was at the center of it all. The web of lies was unraveling, and Ethan was determined to pull every thread until the truth was laid bare. A week passed, and Ryan's findings were more damning than Ethan had anticipated. The investigator uncovered discrepancies in the company's finances. Large sums of money siphoned off into an untraceable offshore account. The transactions were signed off by Liam. Ethan sat in his office, staring at the spreadsheets Ryan had compiled. He couldn't believe the man he trusted to co-run their business was embezzling money. But why? And how did this connect to Emily? The answers began to surface later that day when Ryan called with another update. Ethan, I found something else. Emily knew about Liam's embezzlement. There are emails in her account that she forwarded to herself. They're detailed proof of what Liam was doing. I think she was using them to blackmail him. Ethan's blood ran cold. Blackmail? Why would she do that? Ryan hesitated before responding. Maybe she wanted something from him. Maybe it's tied to their affair. Either way, this changes things. If she was blackmailing him, it gives him a motive for... Well, the implications hit Ethan like a freight train. Was Liam capable of murder? Had he killed Emily to protect his secret? Ethan decided to confront Liam indirectly. The next day at the office, he brought up the company finances during a meeting. We need to audit the books, Ethan said, looking directly at Liam. There have been some irregularities, and I think it's time we got to the bottom of it. Liam's face paled. Irregularities? What kind of irregularities? Large sums disappearing without explanation. Ethan said, keeping his voice calm but firm. We can't let that slide. Liam stammered, I'm sure it's just an accounting error. No need to overreact. Ethan leaned back in his chair, studying his friend. Maybe, but I've already hired someone to look into it. If it's just an error, we'll find out soon enough. Liam's hands fidgeted with the pen in his hand. Sure, do what you need to do. That evening, Ethan received a call from Detective Harris, the lead investigator on Emily's case. Harris informed him that they had reopened the investigation based on new evidence Ethan had provided through Ryan. We've reviewed the surveillance footage and the emails you sent us, Harris said. We're treating this as a potential homicide now. Ethan felt a mix of relief and dread. The police were finally taking action, but this meant he was one step closer to confirming that his best friend had killed his wife. Later that night, Liam showed up at Ethan's house unannounced. He seemed nervous, his usual charm replaced with unease. Ethan, I need to talk to you, he said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Ethan folded his arms. What's on your mind, Liam? Liam hesitated, glancing around as if to make sure they were alone. I know you've been digging into the company finances. Look, I can explain everything. It's not what it looks like. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Really? Because it looks like you've been stealing from the company. And Emily found out. Liam's eyes widened. Emily? She told you? No, Ethan said, his voice cold. But I know she was blackmailing you. Is that why you killed her, Liam? To keep her quiet? Liam's face contorted with shock and anger. What? Kill her? Are you insane? I loved her. The confession stunned Ethan. Liam's voice cracked as he continued. Yes, we were having an affair. Yes, she knew about the money. But I didn't kill her. She was... He stopped abruptly, his fists clenching. She was what, Liam? Ethan demanded. Liam shook his head, backing toward the door. You have no idea what you're talking about. He left in a rush, leaving Ethan standing in the middle of the living room, his mind spinning. Ethan called Detective Harris immediately. You need to bring Liam in for questioning. He's hiding something, and I think he's ready to crack. The web of lies was tightening around Liam, and Ethan was determined to ensure justice for Emily, no matter the cost. The next few days were tense. The police continued to investigate Emily's death with Ethan's full cooperation, piecing together evidence of her affair with Liam and her knowledge of his embezzlement. Meanwhile, Liam remained under surveillance, though he hadn't been officially charged. Detective Harris updated Ethan regularly. We're applying pressure, Harris said. Liam's story keeps changing, which isn't a good sign for him. He's nervous, and I think it's only a matter of time before he cracks. Ethan struggled with a mix of emotions. Grief for Emily, anger at her betrayal, and disgust at Liam's lies. He focused on staying strong, determined to see this through. Liam sat across from Detective Harris, his hands shaking slightly. It was his third time in for questioning, and the cracks in his facade were becoming more apparent. Harris leaned forward, his tone firm but calm. "Liam, we know you and Emily were having an affair," Harris began. "We also know she discovered you were stealing money from the company and was threatening to expose you. This wasn't just about romance. It was about leverage, wasn't it?" Liam's eyes darted around the room, his breathing quickening. "I told you I didn't kill her. I wasn't even at her house that day." Harris held up a folder, pulling out a document. "We have surveillance footage showing you in Emily's neighborhood on the night of her death. You didn't go to her house? Then where were you?" Liam hesitated, his face pale. I went to talk to her. But she was alive when I left." Harris pressed on, his voice unwavering. "Liam, we found evidence that Emily was blackmailing you. Emails, text messages, everything. She knew about the money you stole. She confronted you, didn't she?" Liam clenched his fists, his voice shaking. "She wouldn't stop. She kept threatening me, saying she'd ruin me, ruin my life. I tried to reason with her. But she pushed me too far." Harris's tone grew sharper. "What happened, Liam? Did you lose control?" Liam broke down, his head in his hands. "I didn't mean to hurt her," he cried. "That night, she called me over, saying she wanted more money. She said if I didn't give her what she wanted, she'd tell Ethan everything and go to the police about the embezzlement. We argued, she was shouting, and I lost control." He looked up at Harris, tears streaming down his face. "I pushed her. She fell, hit her head on the corner of the table. Panicked. I didn't know what to do. I thought if I left, someone would think it was an accident. So I left." Harris's face was stone cold as he replied, "You left her there to die, Liam. You didn't call for help. You didn't even check to see if she was still alive." Liam sobbed into his hands. "I didn't want this. I loved her. I just wanted her to stop." Harris stood and motioned to the officers outside. "Take him into custody. He's officially under arrest for the murder of Emily Miles." That evening, Harris called Ethan to deliver the news. "Liam confessed," Harris said. "It wasn't premeditated, but it doesn't matter. He admitted to causing Emily's death and leaving her there to cover it up." Ethan sat silently, processing the weight of the revelation. He had suspected Liam for weeks, but hearing the confirmation still felt like a punch to the gut. "What happens now?" Ethan asked. "We're charging him with second-degree murder," Harris explained. "His embezzlement scheme will add to the charges, but for now, he'll stand trial for Emily's death. You did the right thing, Ethan, bringing all of this to our attention." Ethan nodded, though it brought little comfort. The truth was out, but it came at an unbearable cost. His wife's life and the betrayal of a friendship he once thought unbreakable. As Ethan hung up the phone, he walked to the mantel where Emily's photo still stood. He stared at her smiling face, a mix of love, anger, and sadness swirling within him. Justice was on its way, but Ethan knew he would carry the scars of this betrayal for the rest of his life.